Hello, 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 and welcome to another edition of the Big Freaking Friday Show on the College Football Mafia Network. I'm your host, Nathan Bomber Brown. With me are my partners in crime on the Ship of Fools. That would be Wild Ute and Moen. How you guys doing tonight?
Hey, happy Friday.
Moen, you're muted. If you were speaking, if you're not, that's
I'm
fine too.
no, I was muted. I'm
Okay.
fine. Doing well.
Good. Excellent. I appreciate everybody being here tonight. We've got tons of news to cover from the weekend college sports. Certainly, we're going to talk the big shakeout of the SEC media days. Unfortunately, it buried the Big 12 media days from this week, which is just the timing there is brutal. We need to be going after the ACC media days next year. I don't know what else to do there. We're going to talk about no realignment really, but we are going to talk private equity. We're going to give you some time on kind of where that shakes out with the Big 12 and anybody else that wants to use private equity for that matter. We'll talk about a little of the House settlement, still not done. For anybody who has questions, the House settlement's still hanging out there. But as we've reported the last couple of weeks in our one-on-one interviews, that should be done anytime, or it'll be completely removed by and refused by the judge. We'll have to see. And then the governance. Who's going to be making the rules in college football specifically, and what does that look like? So these are all topics. And then, of course, we invite you to leave your comments and questions. Get involved. As we go through the show, we really want to hear from you. Like and subscribe, as we have this cool little overlay that Moen's built that I really like and I just recently found. And get involved in the show. Last but not least, if you want to become a member of the College Football Mafia family, Moen, how do they do that?
To become a member of the College Football Mafia family, leave a super chat, leave a super sticker, leave any type of support you want. You just click that little cash icon underneath the chat window. And from there, you just follow the instructions. Become a member, gift a membership, leave a super chat, leave a super sticker, pretty much anything.
We always defer to super chats, so it doesn't matter who gives them. As long as they're not profane or says something we don't like, we will read your super chat. And then last but not least, hang around and add to the show. We do take comments and questions. Q&A is the second half of this show. And we invite you guys to, get involved. That's what it's for. And we've got a new little tool. I think I can point right down there that I found when I was running my last interview show during the week. It's your comments, streaming comments and whatnot. That way we're not racing to try to get caught up to comments as they come. We will flag our own, though, and those will be highlighted. Those are the ones that will drive the show and kind of get us to where we want to be. So I invite everybody to get involved, to be part of the show, and let us help you at the end of the day. All right, so I'm going to give Ute is first tonight. What are some of your thoughts about the news of the day that sort of came out of this week, Ute?
This playoff model with the seeding is pretty bizarre. It's an interesting hill to fight and die on, I think. And we're going to get much more into that in the show. I think that the ACC and the Big 12, though, are seeing this as very rosy, whereas it could turn out very bad. Yep. And I think that it's not giving a lot of mitigation impact in case things don't go well, which I don't like. And we're going to talk a lot more about it. Yep. But really, hey, it's Friday night, guys. So cheers.
Cheers.
A long work week and everything. So cheers to everybody. Happy Friday.
Appreciate it. Moen, how about you?
Listen, I think we're going to go in depth on it, obviously, on the show, but I've got several opinions on the college football playoff format argument battle.
It is a battle. It's still a full battle. It's not done yet.
I've been working on a video regarding the ACC and Big 12, and I've been on the phone with Greg Flugar for about an hour and a half today, 2 hours, breaking it all down. So hopefully I'll get that video done tomorrow, but we'll talk a little bit about that here as well. So It's been an exciting week in college football.
Gosh, yeah.
And there hasn't even been a snap played.
There hasn't been a snap played for 25-26. All right, let's do shout outs. Let's just get right to those so that then we get to the news items and try to cover as many of those today as we can. Ryan Willie's first in the house. Hi, College Football Mafia. First non-team comment. Yeah, Mo, what are you doing? Putting yourself in the comment section. That's not okay.
Mo, are you drinking that nasty stuff again? That flavor?
What do you want? What do you think? I'm going to throw it away?
It was too expensive for him to get rid of you.
He just drinks it during the show.
Devil, he's sipping. It looked to me like that was a sip. Devil Frog, who's the OG of OGs when it comes to the Mafia name. He and I started it, and a valuable member of the College Football Mafia family. It's not just about who gets in. It's about who gets to decide. I mean, if the future champ is picked by branding, not earned on the field, does the trophy or championship still mean anything? We'll take that one live. What do you guys think about that?
It still means something, even if it's an invitational. 16 spots is a lot of spots in 11 spots to determine, guys. Like it's I don't know how you shake it, because even if you don't have automatic qualifiers, there's still going to be a lot of conversation around who gets seated where by the committee. You actually give the committee more power in a 5-11 model.
Yes.
More picking power, and we know how biased the committees are. And so the more you dissect this, the more head scratching this becomes. I'm just going to I absolutely despise and disdain this 5-11 model.
Hey, I'm right here for you.
I can't even, I mean, I wanted to save it for later in the show, but like 5-11 is so short-sighted. I get it. You don't want to look like you're an inferior conference to the Power 2. I get it. No one wants that perception. The reality is they have produced a lot more championships. Like, you just have to accept reality and take what you can get. And the best deal out there was not a 5-11 scenario at all for the Big 12 conference. This is not a win. It really isn't. Maybe a perception of win for the day, but it's not going to be a playoff berth win.
Nope. Day, in my view. And I'm going to hold off because you and I are on the same page, have been on the same page. We'll talk about that as soon as the shout outs are done, but we're going to go about 15 minutes or so, and I don't want to throw it right in the middle of what we're doing. Right. So, Devil Frog, thank you so much. It's great to see you, man. And yeah, I hope you stick around for that conversation. Let's see. Moen's got a bunch flagged here. No, wait. That's missing some. Shonsky checking in. BYU football. Hi, everyone. Let's see. Skaven, yes, saying hello, gentlemen. Good to see you, Skaven. Yes.
Hey.
Unfortunately, I jumped down here. I didn't mean to do that. Jackson Johnson, what's up, College Football Mafia Nation? The moderator in the house. Good to have you here, Jackson. Thanks for everything you do. And man, your show keeps growing. Voice of College Football. Keep that work going, man. It'll pay off. I promise. Let's see. Conundrum checking in. Always a rabble rouser. He rouses rabble. And the decision is, I like that. And we need a little card that we can pull out and read. Follow that up with saying SEC ADs and presidents want 9-game schedule, right? No. Nope, it's the opposite there, Conundrum. Right. But Ute and I will dive into that in a little bit. Daniel Gygax, another contributor to the College Football Mafia family. Good to have you here. Hi, everyone. Bob Swanger checking in. Good evening, everyone. Good to have you here. Steele Austin, another wild Ute in the house, representing the Utah Utes up on the hill. Good to see you, Steele. I'm going to preview next week. Steele and I are going to do a show. I think it'll probably be Tuesday, but it might slip to Wednesday. We got show ideas. I'm not going to preference right now, but it'll be something that'll be educational. I hope it'll be entertaining. Let's see here. Skaven Yeses. Antoine Johnson checking in. Also a valuable member of the College Football Mafia family. My college football prediction, no one goes to the P2 and I would say by 2031. A new conference is formed, anchored by FSU, Clemson, Miami, and Notre Dame. Notre Dame's not joining the conference, Antoine, but the rest, there's some traction there. What do you think?
I think that Antoine here is pretty nails outside of the Notre Dame part of this. Yeah. I agree with you, Nate. But you really need Florida State, Clemson, and Miami to form a best of the rest.
Yeah.
If they're not there, it doesn't make sense. Then the Big 12 is just going to gobble up ACC schools if they get into the Power 2. But if they don't, you better believe Florida State's going to be trying to create something else to get more revenue, more exposure, and to get better matchups. So I think that it's very realistic.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think that's right, and I think there's justification for the way of thinking. But just look, everybody. I know we got a bunch of people watching on X too, at least for a little while. There's no reason for Notre Dame to join a conference ever. Everybody's bending the knee to Notre Dame. It's not the reverse. Right now, Petiti is bending the knee to Notre Dame. Moen, I don't know how you defend that, but that's the case.
I don't know how you think he's bending the knee to Notre Dame.
Because they gave Notre Dame everything they wanted, and they didn't have to join a conference. That's how. His inaction is leading to.
That's not Petiti. That's Jim Phillips and the ACC.
How do you figure?
Because Jim Phillips and the ACC are the ones that let him do these scheduling arrangements with Clemson and everything else. I mean,
are you really that blind?
Tony Petiti has actually told USC to stop scheduling them.
I didn't say anything about USC.
Well, USC is a Big Ten team.
The Big Ten voted them in. Now Notre Dame can be there the same as Ohio State. How is that okay for you? I'm surprised you haven't been. I'm surprised. I'm surprised you haven't been more upset about that.
I think Notre Dame can absolutely be part of the college football playoff. I just don't think that they should be in the
get a bye.
Don't think they should get a bye, but you got 3 against 1.
The SEC and the Big Ten are both kissing Notre Dame's feet, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Well, the SEC is doing it more than the Big Ten because the SEC doesn't want Notre Dame to join the Big Ten.
Okay, again, that's right. That is also right. The Big 12 is kissing their feet. Every power conference is kissing the feet of Notre Dame right now.
I disagree. I don't think the Big Ten is kissing their feet.
Okay,
I think the exact opposite.
Maybe that's a different show.
If the Big Ten was kissing their feet, they would tell USC, you've got to schedule Notre Dame.
No, that has nothing to do with it. They're two different things. One's a school that wants to fight for having open games for FCS opponents, I imagine, because they don't want to play a tough Big Ten schedule.
Oh, no, Notre Dame doesn't want to play a tough Big Ten schedule.
No. All right, we're going to have to do this a different day. We don't have time tonight. RT checking in, another valuable member of the College Football Mafia family. Good to see you, man. Evening, gentlemen. Rob Ellen checking in, another valuable member representing Clemson Tigers from the ACC tonight. Good afternoon. I like 5'11", but the P2 will benefit the second most, Notre Dame the most. Rob, you're exactly right.
Yeah, exactly. Nails.
Exactly right. Have never been more right, Rob. Josie.
Well, what is that?
I don't know. What is that? Moen,
I don't know. Congratulations, Jose, on the tight end pickup for USC.
Yeah.
They got somebody?
Beast. Oh, they got the #1 tight end in the class.
I didn't know that.
Dude's a beast.
Okay. BYU got like the #3 tight end, or maybe it's #5. Brock Harris. That guy's a stud too. Day one Rob checking in saying hi, happy Friday all. Good to have you here. Day one Rob. Let's see. Let me get to Stephen Vitt checking in. Lousy internet connection all day. Made it for this show though. That's all that matters, Stephen. That's all that matters. Ohio Bobcats being represented. Opie Didon checking in, another valuable member, OG member of the College Football Mafia family. It must have been a sale because no one is drinking a lot of them.
So, Opie, they put a bunch of them in a box.
No.
So it's like,
how many are there in that pack?
I think there's 24.
24.
They're basically one drink each. They're like a shot each, right?
Yeah, you're paying
They're like
for
a
a lot of
double
bottle.
each. Yeah, like a
double.
double each.
Coos Corner, good to see you, Justin. Congratulations. I think I told you last week on your 2.7 million watch hours or something. That's just crazy, dude. It's not nasty Ute. It's heaven in your mouth when mixed with Dr. Pepper, lemonade, or Sprite.
Let him cook, Moan. Let him cook.
I might have to go get me a glass of 7-Up or something to cut with it because that might make it tolerable, Coos. that might make it tolerable, because it's definitely not heaven in a mouth.
Mr. Monkey says, checking in, you made it. He's in the house. Timothy Green, I would like to congratulate the West Virginia baseball team for beating Kentucky today. There were so many critics saying they were going to lose. Surprise, surprise. Timothy, it's great to see you here. Continue to represent us out there in West Virginia.
We'll give us one for Coos and for Timothy.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
As we get dinged by YouTube. Good job, Moen. Jackson Johnson, $2 super chat. Note to self, let's get College Football Mafia to 10,000 subs. That's what I'm talking about.
Let's go.
We are doing a summer push to 5,000, but 10,000 would be great. Do that again,
no matter
Moen.
how bad life gets, there is always beer.
Cheers to that.
I love it. Another super chat, Mark Bowman. Mark Bowman, not only a $12 super chat, but also is a valuable member of the College Football Mafia family. Canzano got burned by intentional misinformation from Pac-12 bigwigs. It wasn't just Canzano, it was also John Wilner, among others. Could the 5'11 CFP be a play by SEC and Big, who really want 4-4-2-2-1-3? I personally believe it is another psyop. Yes, I do believe if it's a psychology move, it's propaganda. And I think the Big 12 and ACC and everybody else bought into it. I think they got burned, taken advantage of.
You think that the 5'11", you think that the Big 12 got burned by that, and that was propaganda? Is that what I'm hearing here?
I'm thinking anybody who agreed with 5'11" was.
I think Yormark was pushing that. Though.
I'm saying is, they were using the other stuff to try to sell 5'11". That's what I meant.
Maybe so. Yeah. From that perspective, that could be the case. I mean, the Big Ten didn't want it. Big Ten doesn't want it either, because the Big Ten is a loser in this deal. It'll probably get 4 teams in most years, but not guaranteed every year. The SEC is a big winner with a 5'11" model, the biggest winner and stuff, and the cost certainty for TV partners. The biggest is the SEC. Yeah. Cost certainty for the Big Ten, it's not great. It really isn't great. I'm sure the network partners really hate this.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And we'll jump into that in just a second. We've got a few more shout outs. Nathan Jones, I love that Y. That looks good. Also, Nathan's a valuable member of the Mafia family. $5 super chat. Might be jumping ahead, but if the teams from the ACC and Big 12 create a new conference, how close would they be to the SEC Big 10 in revenue? So we're gonna stop all shout outs at this point. And we're just gonna dive right into this stuff. I personally believe that we got a report last week about anonymous Big 12 and ACC schools meeting off books. Doesn't involve the conferences, doesn't involve Jim Phillips and Brett Yormark. And they met in a Ramada Inn in backwoods Kentucky. And I don't know who those schools were, but yes, I think there is some. There are 2 things, and you can respond to this directly, and then Moen, obviously, you can comment whenever you want. I firmly believe that realignment, and I said this yesterday on Twitter, I think realignment for the next 3-4 years is pretty much locked in now. I think the CFP House settlement, which is almost done, and the governance, which is supposed to be done in June, once that all sort of sorts out, I don't think the Big Ten and the SEC want to bring anybody on right away again. I think realignment is stalled for the near future. All the TV revenue, all the stuff we've talked about for 2 years, it's a nice cherry. It's a brass ring hanging out there, but you don't need that for today. That's like a next day project. And so I do believe there will be a major push for this best of the rest conference. And usually we talk about that with the G6. I'm actually talking about in the A4 land, and put the best brands that aren't encumbered, that can move as quickly as possible. And there's not every school can just jump. There's money that's involved in everything. Whoever those schools are, whoever was in that room, I do believe there is going to be a push for this P20 third conference, but it's not the Big 12 and remnants of the ACC. It's actually the third conference. All right, what do you think?
It all hinges on Florida State. If Florida State stays in the ACC and cannot get into the SEC or the Big Ten Conference, then yeah, this is likely that they pull away. They grab their teams to pull away and form a best of the rest conference. But Florida State's critical in it. They're the ones that have to push this with the biggest brand. They benefit a lot from it too. But if Florida State jumps to the SEC or the Big Ten, there's no way it's going to happen. 0% chance. Florida State is the key to anything like that. So all the eyes are on the Noles. And Clemson too is going to follow behind Florida State's lead. Florida State's going to get the first offer, as far as the brand strength goes in football.
Right.
We know the Big Ten's interested in UNC. They want them, and the SEC wants UNC. We all get that and everything. But as far as forming a new conference, Florida State is the key, the crown jewel for a new conference, because they are what brings the views for the network partners. You got to have the Noles.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to bump you there. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say the best of the rest would involve the ACC4, North Carolina, Clemson, Florida State, and Miami not going anywhere, right? They can't find an exit from the ACC. And so what they would do is they then would take the best brands, and they could pick at that point. It wouldn't have to be the top 8 or 9 in the ACC. They could just take 3, 4, 5, and then take the best brands or the most viable brands out of the Big 12 and run. Right. The cost of doing business to leave the ACC now is so inexpensive. And every year it drops 18 million. So next year it'll be 18 million less than 165, and it just goes down from there. You say we leave in 3 years, now all of a sudden the leave fee is 90 million. And for these big brands, 90 million pay off in a couple of years, and it's nothing.
You absolutely do not need UNC or Virginia for the best of the rest league.
Right. Absolutely. In fact, I think you're better off without them. I think you're better off.
You mean like grab Virginia Tech and NC State for best of the rest? You're not trying to form an academic conference. You don't have the luxury that the Big Ten and the SEC have. Just be that selective. You're trying to grab new state footprints and eyeballs at this point and everything with somewhat of a cultural alignment. So forget UNC or Virginia. They're not going to move the needle on that. Hey, if they're there, they jump in. But you don't need multiple teams from multiple states in most cases. I mean, unless there's something like a huge rival like the Holy War, maybe like you consider that, but you're probably leaving out a lot of teams. It's going to be one school from one state, largely in this best of the rest type of model. So Florida State, to me, it all hinges on the Noles. Notre Dame's not going to join up on it. They're going to go independent. Can't consider them really. They're not going to do it. Florida State is all eyes are on Florida State. They're going to be the trigger on something like that happening.
So, Moen, before we get to the college football playoff negotiations, what are your last comments on this idea of the best of the rest power conference that involves the best of the ACC and the Big 12?
Well, first I got to give some sounders to Mark Bowman and Nathan Jones.
All of them.
So Mark Bowman.
I don't make the rules, ma'am. I just think them up and write them down.
Nathan Jones.
Tell him to bring me my money.
And we'll just throw this one out here because you need some milk.
He needs some milk. He needs some milk.
You got to do what?
I took Chris's advice and I put a little 7-Up.
I was wondering where he went off. You forgot one for Jackson, Moen. Give Jackson a small one.
Let me see what Jackson. Let's see what we can give Jackson.
He paid for a sounder, so let's.
I know. Let's do Wild Man.
Okay.
Wild Man.
Yep, probably gonna die. I knew, man. I knew I'd never make it to 30 because I'm a wild man.
All right. So that we're going to just leave that there. We'll maybe get back to that in a little bit, but I want to jump right into the college football playoff negotiations. First, I forgot to invite everybody. Make sure you follow all of us. Hey, why don't you do that 25 minutes in? If you're watching the show, make sure you follow us all on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. And turn on your notifications so you know when we're putting out, because we report a lot of editorialized stuff on Twitter, but we also post news articles, things that come from the leading lights in college football reporting. We do that, and the best way you find out about it is having notifications turned on for us for Twitter. So
hey, check this out. Just
what
want
is
to let
this?
you guys
What
know
is
the
this?
show is currently on YouTube's featured
Let's
live
go.
streams.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Absolutely.
I love that. Thank you, Hummus Hero. Thank you so much. Clapping you in, brother. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks so much for being here. That's
Absolutely.
fantastic. That is fantastic. All right. So let's jump into it. Let's just talk 5-1-1, 5-11 college football playoff negotiations. Brett Yormark, Jim Phillips were out there saying, absolutely, we want the earn it contract. We want the give us the bonuses if we earn it, play our way in. First, let's talk 5-11 first. Let's not talk about our counter argument, right? Let's talk about just about 5-11. What are the good things about it?
The good thing about 5-11 is that it creates more intrigue because there's more playoff spots across the board for each conference. So there's more on the line for more berths, playoff berths. So people are going to be paying attention to it in all conferences more. You can have more playing games. That goes for every conference, not Big 12 and ACC too. That is the benefit of it.
Okay. And 5-11 means 5. So the top 5 conference champions, right? Top
Right.
5 conference champions get into the playoff, but now I believe their buys are not guaranteed, right? Now it's going to be straight seeding.
That's still undetermined. There's still conversations if there's going to be buys or if it's just going to be straight games week 1. We don't know that yet. It's probably just going to be straight games, some games week 1. That's TBD at this moment.
Okay. And then for 2025, we know it's 12 teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's 5 conference champions. Do those champions get buys? I mean, the 4.
What do you think?
Top 4.
What do you think, Moen?
There's not going to be buys in a 16-team format.
No, I'm talking 12. I'm talking 2025, just for this year, so people know what we're talking about.
Just for this year, it's going to top 4 are going to get the buys.
Yeah.
It's not going to necessarily be conference champions, although I would imagine
right.
The SEC and Big Ten conference champions are going to be up there.
That's what they changed it to. So it's no longer, if you're ASU, next year you wouldn't have gotten a bye. That bye would have gone to probably Ohio State. I'm not sure who the next lowest was at 5. Regardless, though, that team, whatever those rankings are, they're going to be placed in that bye situation for 2025. Now we talk 2026. You limited the very few benefits to it. Everybody has an earn it opportunity to earn a place in a 1-16. But at the end of the day, guys, if you're the Big 12 and you're the ACC and you only get one team in,
right?
How is that a win? And you're picking your teams now via a committee, and we all know how well the committee did last year. And it's not some enhanced, more nuanced picking situation like the BCS. Maybe you change some things. But I'll tell you right now, everybody, the RPI is corrupt. It totally penalizes the Big 12. The coaches poll is corrupt because you have actual administrators. Sorry, not coaches poll. The picking pool, the committee that picks the teams, they have active administrators, i.e. Michigan, that are working live at the same time they're instructing votes. Not exactly the most unbiased situation. The coaches polls and even the AP poll are highly influenced by people that are like junior administrators. They don't even watch the games. They just vote on brands usually, right? And those brands generally do not favor the ACC and the Big 12. So how is that better than you get 2 guaranteed spots every year? And if you play good enough, you'll get a 3rd one in.
For the SEC, it's great, as mentioned before, because you have all the influence, you have all the strength of schedule indicators, There's going to be mass pressure to put as many SEC teams in. That's great. It's great. Hey, but Big 12 fans, this is not great at all. Guess what? The narrative's not with you. It's not with our teams. The Big 12 doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. This is going to be a ranking system based on a committee. They're going to leave teams out all the freaking time. Take 2 guaranteed spots and not just take 1 most years. That's what we're looking at. You just mentioned that, Nate, too. Seriously, it's like, wake up. Wake up. The Big 12 is not the same level as the SEC and the Big 10. We need to realize that, invest, and start winning playoff games and getting into the dang playoffs. 1 freaking bid. We're looking at 1 freaking bid most years with this 16-team format. And so the best scenario for the Big 12 would be to get 2 automatic bids in a play-in game with the ACC for a possible 3rd. That was the absolute best-case scenario, and they need to start negotiating on that because this 5-11 absolutely blows for the Big 12. I'm serious. You're talking 1 team per year likely most years. You know it. I know it based on the biases of the ranking committees.
I'm going to read this comment from Hall of Fame college football. That would be Jason Watkins. How you doing, Jason? It's great to see you. I cannot believe fans of the Big 12, not Ute and I, and the ACC, I don't know who those would be, not named UNC UVA. I don't think UNC UVA have, but Florida State and Clemson certainly they're going to get the sort of preferential treatment when it comes to the polls picking in. If they're high, if they're 2 losses, they'll probably get in. But there's no guarantees beyond the champions. I admire the opinions, but this seems counterproductive for getting bids. So we're clear, Jason, you're watching. Ute and I are not for it. Okay. I have gone out on a ledge. I've had people in the Big 12 send me nasty DMs saying, I'm going to quit following you because they've been taught. Brett Yormark came out and said 5-11 is the way. And I've been against it since probably the first time I thought that there was a renegotiation of the CFP in general. And I don't think Ute has been for it either. We've been for the 4-4-2. We'd like the 4-4-4-4. We would certainly like 4-4-3-3. But we're both pragmatists enough to know that 2 teams every year is a fantastic opportunity for a conference that isn't the ACC and the Big 10. Sorry, SEC and Big 10.
They will not get the benefit of the doubt. There's too much pressure to put bigger brands in for bigger matchups. We all know this. This is human nature. It's not going to go well for the Big 12 not having automatic bids in the playoff. It's just not. Like, I get the mentality like, hey, we'll earn it on the field. We'll do everything. Let's fight for it. Let's not just make this an invitational. It kind of is anyway because you've got a ranking committee putting teams in, guys. Let's be honest about this. In NFL football, you play everybody. And it's just strictly your record. There's nothing else. There's no opinions of people, human beings. And in college football, there is. And that's always going to be a problem. If it's an invitational, auto bid, or if it's a ranking system. But as we saw last year, especially with BYU over every other school, you weren't even talked about for a playoff berth. Nope. You should have been an automatic lock for the playoff berth. You think that's just going to be omitted from now on? No. I think we need to wake the freak up. And see exactly what's going to happen here, because it's just, to me, it's just, why? Why are we fighting and dying on this hill? So we're equal, so we can have 1 bid per year? At what point do we say, forget it, let's just get our 2 automatic bids, maybe 3 in a play-in situation, and just go with it? I want to see my team in the playoff. You want to see your team in the playoff. 2 bids is better than 1.
We're going to keep this conversation going, but we're going to cut off our X feed now. So if you're on Twitter, jump over to our YouTube page, College Football Mafia family or network. It's just College Football Mafia is what it's called on YouTube. Jump over and watch us live on Twitter. It's been great to have you, but we're going to give our time to our YouTube subscribers. So please jump over there, do us a favor, and we're going to continue this conversation on top of everything else that has been the news this week. So I appreciate everybody watching, and we're going to sort of move over to YouTube only. Okay, Moen, you haven't really said anything about this so far. The Big 10, they're not going to necessarily get a 4th every year.
I think you will be surprised what the Big 10 is able to do every year with the scheduling that they're going to put forth. Phillips and Yormark are putting 5-11 out there because they want to just be the opposite of the Big 10. They want to try and create friction between the Big 10 and the SEC. You've seen SEC coaches and ADs have claimed that they would, well, not ADs, coaches have claimed that they would prefer a 5-11, which I'm sure they would. You guys are worried about maybe getting guys in there, one team in there. What if they change it to where it's just the best 16 and maybe some
You don't get a conference
you
champion.
don't get a conference champion in?
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Look,
this is bad news. But here's the thing: I think that people need to keep in mind, just because it's 5-11 this week doesn't mean it's going to be 5-11 next week. These SEC coaches, we've all heard from all of them. They love the idea of 8 conference games and 1 Big Ten matchup. Well, I'm sure they do love that, but that's not going to make the most money for the SEC.
Let's reset that idea, Mo, and just so everybody knows, so we put everybody on the same page. The 8 conference games versus 9 conference games battle is absolutely real between the Big Ten and the SEC.
Absolutely is. The Big Ten's not going to vote for a 5-11 unless the SEC goes to 9. But the SEC, they're probably going to go to 9 anyway. And I'll break it down for you. Economic realities are going to come to bear on these conferences. House, let's just say for the sake of argument, House gets passed. You're going to start losing. You're going to have to start making cuts in athletic departments, guys. You either have to make cuts or make more money. And how are you going to make more money? Well, if you're the SEC, you're going to make more money by adding a 9th conference game. You're going to get more money by scheduling an agreement with the Big Ten. You're going to get more money by having playing games. It's in the best interest of the Big 12 and the ACC to go with the 4-4 model. Yeah, I get it. The Big Ten, they get 4. The SEC gets 4. But it's going to be locked in for a period of time, because guess what? Those teams, Florida State still wants out of the ACC, guys. Clemson still wants out of the ACC. Miami wants out of the ACC. Notre Dame could be brought to heel if they lose those teams in the ACC.
I still don't think that's true.
It's going to be very rough for you guys if you go 5-11 and the Big Ten and the SEC pick up those additional teams.
I still don't think that's going to make a difference.
You're going to put more brands in front of the committee. More brands. They're going to want more branded matchups. You're going to get even fewer shots in for the Big 12 and the ACC. The best thing the ACC and Big 12 can do is take the 4-4, 2-2, 1-3 model while it's being offered. I disagree with 5-11. I would love 5-11 because, again, I think the Big Ten at some point is going to expand and add a Miami. They're probably going to bring Notre Dame to bear. They'll get them healed. You're going to put more brands, big brands in the Big Ten. You're going to put more big brands in the SEC. The committee is going to vote for brands, guys.
Right.
They are. You can have an undefeated BYU and a 1-loss Miami, and they're probably going to put a 1-loss Miami over an undefeated BYU.
I don't think that's a problem. Well, I don't know, undefeated. 11-1, 10-2. I think they would. I think an undefeated one would get into the playoff. I'm not saying they'd have a high seed, but look, we're getting sidetracked. That's not the story. The story is the scheduling, 8 versus 9 games, and the ACC and the SEC have only 8 conference games, everybody. And you wonder why. Well, they're both ESPN properties. ESPN owns both of them. So that's their negotiation. They can drive them to a 9th game, but they're not going to do that. Specifically, the SEC is not going to do that if they don't have guaranteed access. So it's like a Jenga pile. You have to if you pull out the right block in the right order, then the next one would be easier to pull.
I don't disagree with you in that regard, but listen, if you're going to put Florida State and Clemson in the SEC, we'll just assume UNC, UVA, they go there as well, but they're not going to be too much in brand. You move Miami and Notre Dame to the Big Ten. You basically take every big brand in college football and put it into 2 conferences. And by the way, the Big 12 and the ACC decided they wanted to prove it on the field and go with a 5-11. Well, you're probably going to end up with one team each, and the rest of it's going to be filled with Big Ten and SEC. Because, listen, like I said, that economics is going to come to bear. Oklahoma already had to make cuts. They ended up cutting, I think, 15% of their staff.
Yes.
It's going to be, these coaches love 8 conference games in the SEC. They're going to love 9 conference games when their AD comes to them and says, hey, we've got to lose some of your strength and conditioning staff because we can't afford it anymore. Or we can play 9 conference games and you get to keep them. What's your choice? Or, you're going to end up cutting sports altogether. What is worse? The SEC says, yeah, we get 8 conference games in football. By the way, women's softball is now cut.
I just Notre Dame is still a part of this. A 5-11 guarantees Notre Dame a team almost every year.
4-4.
Oh, definitely.
Any model is going to guarantee Notre Dame in because Notre Dame plays a shit schedule. They play Navy. They play shitty teams.
Well, yeah, when they go 9-3, I see what you're saying.
And they go 9-3,
right? But if they go 8-4, they might not get in.
If they go 8-4, they've got Notre Dame by their name. They're going in.
It depends what's going on. I think that spot very well could go to Big 12 team.
I don't know.
It could.
What evidence is there that's going to suggest that the Big 12 is going to be getting more teams in this?
Nothing. I don't think there is evidence.
In fact, there's evidence the other way. That's what we're saying here.
Actually, that's not true. There is evidence, and I'm going to bring it up right now. Give me 1 second. I will show you the evidence.
All right, let's take a look at this.
And then everybody, this is basically where they're. Oops, I hit the wrong. This is where everybody's looking at as the exemplar for why the Big 12 should, and the ACC, well, not the ACC so much, should want that should want the 5-11. So let's just go through this really quick. This was part of the SEC deck. Brandon Marcello is the one that posted this on Twitter. In fact, let me go back here and get that really quick. So Brandon Marcello had posted this. This was sent out to everybody for SEC Media Days. And if we're looking at here, this is just a breakdown of different categories. We're talking AP top 25 finish, CFP appearances. So this is all historical, right? And right now, just on this piece of paper, the SEC says they're number 1. Surprise, surprise. The Big Ten's number 2. Surprise, surprise. But if you look at number 3, it's the Big 12. So now if you're Brett Yormark, this is what I'm thinking. The SEC sent the slide deck for this presentation and sent it to Brett Yormark and said, look, hey, look at you. You're number 3. We've made you number 3. And so Brett Yormark went to his coaches and his ADs and he said, hey, look, guys, we're number 3. We can fight for a spot outside of our champion to be in the CFP. And this historically will say why, right? The ACC looking at this has to just be one kind of shocked because they've had brands in the title game, won championships in the last 15 years, and yet the rest of their league is dragging that league down. And you know how we know? Because the SEC is saying it, and they're the ones driving the bus. So this is the reason that Brett Yormark's going on such a tear. This exact reason is what's justifying 5-11.
Are these numbers adjusted for Oklahoma?
It says what it's adjusted for. It'll tell you right there what it's based on. 2026 membership.
Okay, 2026 membership. It's surprising. I guess like you're looking at this and you're thinking maybe there's some years you get 3 teams in. Is that the thinking? Like it has to be the thinking, right? That has to be in somebody's thinking. Otherwise, they would have just taken the 2. Somebody has to imagine that at some point, a 16-team CFP, the Big 12 gets 3 teams in. And I'll be perfectly honest. I'm have been the biggest Big 12 homer of anybody. And I find it hard to believe that will ever happen. Yeah, I agree. It's not a win, guys. 5-11's a really big loss for the Big 12. I don't care what metrics you throw. intuitively it seems it's going to go that way based on history of putting teams in certain ranking spots. As simple as that. It's just the human bias and stuff to push the big brands in, like the Notre Dames. If Bama's on the cusp, Bama's going to get the invite over Baylor. It's just going to happen every freaking year because this is a commercial product.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make money out of this.
Remember.
And so if anything's borderline, it's going to go to the big brands.
Bama got in over an undefeated Florida State.
Yeah. I mean, that's the exemplar for the negative, right?
There you go. If you're an SEC team, you're going to get favored over an ACC or a Big 12 team.
Becky Go Husky says 5'11" benefits Notre Dame above all else. Becky, you are 100% right. No other way to put it. And then Jason checks in again. I forgot to say, Hall of Fame college football. He's also a member of the College Football Mafia, and I appreciate you, Jason. Look him up on YouTube. Hall of Fame of college football. Jason Watkins has a fantastic channel, and everybody should look him up on Twitter and just get involved because he's really, really good at what he does. Covers the SEC and the Big, and SEC and Oklahoma. Sorry. There's such a thing as a tough Big Ten schedule, Moen?
Yeah, I don't know. Ohio State ended up playing Oregon last year. Penn State.
That's one team.
Still a lot of teams. And then
Indiana didn't play anybody. The one team they played, they lost.
Well, and then you go into the playoffs, and Ohio State beat Tennessee.
Is that how we're measuring
Texas. Now? Okay, let's go to the bowl games. How did the Big Ten do against the SEC in the bowl games, Jason?
Okay, but bowl games? What are we talking about here?
Well, we're talking about
direct. I'm talking about the best brands. I'm talking about
Big
the best
Ten
brands
versus SEC. The Big Ten outplayed the SEC last year in the postseason. 100%. They only lost one game.
Postseason. Those are all bowl games. Are just what are they called? They don't matter. Exhibition games. Bowl games don't matter.
Oh, okay. When you lose, they don't matter.
No, what do you mean? BYU thumped Colorado. They don't matter because all that matters is the
that doesn't matter because it was two Big 12 teams, Nate.
Oh, Lord.
I'm talking SEC versus Big.
Nothing is bigger than the playoff. Anything else is just it's just a throwaway. You have players that want to be in the NFL that don't suit up for playoff games.
Okay, the playoffs in the Big Ten won the playoffs.
Or not playoffs, sorry. Not playoff games. They don't suit up for bowl games.
Okay, well, they did in the playoffs in Ohio State National Championship. I don't know what to tell you.
That's a playoff. We're seriously talking about two different things. Bowl games don't matter. Playoffs matter. And the players sitting out of bowl games don't matter. So
I disagree
can't really
with
compare
you.
Those. All right.
Listen, I think SEC. I think South Carolina played their hearts out against Illinois last year.
That's on South Carolina. I'm so glad.
Illinois is just a better team.
None of that matters to me. Illinois probably had 90%, 95% of their players. South Carolina maybe was suiting up with 70 or 75.
I watched them play their hearts out. They just couldn't get it done.
Played their hearts out. I love that. That's a Bucky.
I'm just saying, we're going Big Ten versus SEC.
I'm not going anything but playoff. That's all I care about is the playoff.
It's just about the playoff, especially when this goes to 16 teams. Bowl games they're third stringers, guys.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Nobody gives a crap. They're worse than any regular season game now.
It doesn't.
Bad product. No more bowl games. Bowl games are irrelevant unless you make a 16-team playoff. They really are.
Greg Fugard checking in. Good to have you here, Greg. Appreciate you. Great show today. Always fantastic comments, and I really appreciate when you call me and keep me up to date on stuff. If we end up with 4-4-2-2-1-3 format, does ACC and Big 12 go to a conference championship game or 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3 play-in games to determine their two auto bids? I want play-in games. You?
Playing games.
There we go.
100%.
Earn it.
That would be epic stuff. That's what we want.
Yes,
right?
it is.
Not a 5-11 conference championship game and get the 16th seed. It's the kind of crap I don't want to see.
Yeah.
And I'm scared of. And let me ask you guys this, Nate, let me ask you this question, and everybody listening out there. In a 5-11 model, if the Big 12 happened in a 5-11 happened to get one automatic and one selection at large,
Yeah.
people would be dancing because we got one selection at large.
I know,
But that means
right?
that you got 2 teams in, guys.
I know. It makes absolutely no sense.
It's like, what do you like? Let's bet on ourselves so we can have one. Like you bet on yourselves when when you've got a good hand, guys. Like,
and you're going to end up with the 16th seed, and you're going to get drummed by Ohio State. You're fighting for that second team just to be included. You're celebrating. You're at the top of the building celebrating, and then you end up SMU at Penn State.
It's like Iowa State gets
It's
the
like,
16th
what are you
seed. We got
playing
2
for?
teams in the playoffs to celebrate.
What are we
it's like, we could
talking
have 2
about
automatic
here?
berths. Whoa!
All
exactly
of you
how it's
people
gonna be.
that have fallen for the 511, I'm sorry. You are absolutely drinking Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Jim Jones is in your garage. Who cares? This is the thing that cracks me up. They're not even talking about how many teams need to be in the playoff. They're talking about the appearance of how many teams get in the playoff and why. Just the appearance.
The only thing that makes sense is what Moen mentioned. Is this just like cloak and dagger to get the SEC and the Big Ten arguing? Is it just a ploy? Is there something else beneath it that's going on to support something like this? If you're
Moen,
your mark,
what do you think about that?
I think it's cloak and dagger. I think they're just doing it to piss off the Big Ten. They know the Big Ten wants 4-4, and the Big Ten has presented that. They've got the SEC coaches to talk about it this week, and Brett Yormark ran out and got in front of a camera and talked about it. They want to try and put a schism in between that big SEC joint advocacy group. But again, I think, like I said earlier, economics are going to come to bear. If House passes, they're going to have to start making cuts somewhere. And You're either going to have to cut costs or increase revenue. Well, guess what? The only way you can increase revenue if you're the SEC, sell a 9th conference game to ESPN.
Yes.
Play-in games.
Yes.
Scheduling agreement with the Big Ten. If you're the Big Ten, the only way you can increase your revenue is scheduling agreement with the SEC, play-in games.
Really quick, Mo, I want to interrupt you real quick. MBM here. Good to have you. Welcome to the show. Obviously, good to represent Oklahoma State. And this is, again, I've left this picture up there for a reason. The Big 12 has averaged 2.5 teams in the final top 16 since the playoffs began. Y'all are having a fit over 511 for nothing. I don't think it is for nothing. Ute and I guess I didn't realize we were so different than the rest of the Big 12. And I honestly am shocked by it, because what that tells me is that everybody's fallen for the snazzle and dance around a presentation like this. Who cares if you've averaged 2.5? You could average 4 teams. We're talking about a new reality. NILs reset the table. Teams have more mobility than ever in the history of college football, and yet the ACC and the Big 12, let alone the G6, they're not part of the P2. Not getting the same money. The money just went out for the Big 12. I believe they paid out $35 million roughly. That's less than half the Big 10 got. So how do you can't justify MBM? Those two things do not equal. One team making 35 million, one team making 70 million over the period of the next 4 or 5 years in the next negotiating window. Where do you think those two teams, doesn't matter what the brand is, X and Y, where do you think they end up?
We've got a 1-year sample size and a 12-team playoff, not a 14-team.
And we got
playoff,
screwed, by the way. We got screwed.
And we got screwed. We've got a 1-year sample size. There's one screw job. That's what we're looking at. All the stuff on the paper and stuff is a moot point, guys. Like, there's been so much realignment and everything else. Like, Utah would have made the playoffs like 6 times, like in that time frame and everything. But like, would Utah have really made the playoffs if it's like a ranking invitational? Probably not. They probably wouldn't. They got bumped out by a bigger brand. And so that's the problem here, is like the automatic qualifier misnomer about an invitational versus the ranking system. The ranking system makes it basically an invitational because of human bias based on brands. That's the problem here. This isn't just like this is a black box model based on humans' thoughts that have biases and pressures to put the biggest brands in. We need to understand that. And that's why we need to take
bias. Yep, brand bias is where it's at. It's a people system. It still continues to be a people system. They have their own inbred biases. And we're going to get back to your comment, MBM, in just a second. But I got a super chat here from Coos Corner. Thanks again, Coos. We appreciate it. Will you bring me on now? I want to make some counter arguments.
Bring him on.
Sure. Happy to.
I'll send you the link, Justin.
Okay, Moen's going to do that. And while he's doing that, I'm going to get to this second comment. MBM, we're not just being vitriolic. Ute and I are very clear-headed about this. We've talked about it for months and months, so everybody should know this is where we've come out. But your comment says, I'd rather not cede, and I'm going to put that in quotes. You did and I do. The idea that the Big 12 is half the conference of the SEC Big 10. Then they'll want special considerations in other sports. That's already done, MBM. That seed has already happened. They voted, and the Big 10 and the SEC have twice the power, or more than twice in the Big 12's case, than the Big 10 and the SEC. It's already happened. The voting's already done. You're imagining a world they can claw that back. I want somebody to describe to me how that could happen.
Like we're talking right now of a legit breakaway today. Like let's put that in a different term. If the SEC and Big 10 broke away, the Big 12 gets 0 teams in the playoff.
Yeah, that's true.
We're not in the playoff. Like that's where we're at. And we just need to be honest about looking at this situation. It sucks, guys. If you're a Big 12 fan and everything, hey, it's not great, but you got to take what you can get. The best thing you can get is 2 automatic guaranteed bids and a chance to get a third bid in too. 2 automatic spots is a huge win. And if they could ever work out a deal for a play-in with the ACC for a third at large, that would be the mecca best thing ever for both conferences.
Did you send him an invite, Moen?
I did.
Okay, we're waiting on you, Coos. I'm going to get to this in just a second. Hall of Fame College Football $5 super chat. Put me in, coaches. After Coos is done, Jason will bring you on. But I'm warning you, I need you to be bite-sized, okay? Got to be bite-sized answers tonight. We just don't have enough time. Oops, sorry. I apologize. Moen is already in charge. How we doing, Coos? Please, counter arguments. Let's go. Can you hear us? He can't hear us.
Coos, you're live. If you can.
All right, I can hear you now.
There you go.
I had YouTube on the screen, and I couldn't. I had echoes everywhere. So.
All right, explain why Ute and I are completely wrong.
Well, first off, I respect your passion. I respect your, and I don't hate the 4-4-2-2-1. Let me start off with that. I don't hate it. Okay. But I think 5 + 11 is better, and I'm going to tell you why.
Please.
You cannot codify that you're half as good as everybody else. It can hurt you.
Define what that means, because the perception in the world, it already is.
It is, right. But how can you be a leader of an organization like Brett Yormark, for example, and you go in to meet with your colleagues and you say, well, you know what? Our league is only half as good as the SEC and Big 10, and we're admitting that. We're putting our hand up and saying we suck, okay? We can't compete with these guys, so we got to take whatever they'll give us.
How about you change the narrative, though? Just change the narrative. Exactly. You have to win to do that.
Well, you can.
And the only way you're going to win is to actually participate.
5-11 model too. But here's another argument. That ain't to me. That ain't the best one.
Oh, okay.
My favorite argument is the financial piece to this. Okay. The main reason the Big 10 wanted to do the 4-4-2-2-1-3 model so they could do play-in games for more TV money, and so they could do the Big 10 SEC non-conference agreement for more TV money. The Big 12 doesn't have now they can do one play-in game for 2 spots, but they can't do.
You can do 2.
But they're not going to. There's no way they're going to be able to do what the SEC and Big 10 can do. They're not going to have that non-conference agreement.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
They could do one with the ACC, but that's not going to bring in near the money that The SEC.
No, we're just talking about the end of the season, the tournament, 1, 4, 2, 3.
Right. I'm looking at everything though. When you can't, because it's all part of what the Big Ten wants, and you cannot allow them to separate themselves more than they already are financially, in my opinion. Right?
They already are, though. They're getting twice the money today.
But it'll be more than twice if you go down that road. Is what I'm saying.
How much more money does the Big 12 get if they only qualify one team? The SEC or ACC
it doesn't matter.
It's
not based on that anymore. In 2026, it's based on a percentage. Each conference gets a set percentage.
Okay,
so then it won't matter if you get one team or 5 teams.
Then that's even worse, because then there's no aspiration to earn more money. If that's the case, then that's not a positive.
It's not about money at that point. The playoff is not about money at that point.
Access.
It's about access.
It's about access.
Prestige.
It is.
Bragging rights and winning championships, right? But it becomes about money when you look at all the stuff around it, like the play-in games, non-conference scheduling, and all that. To me, and also you cannot. I think there's also a PR play here. He's trying to say, if we say we're doing what's best for the sport, it's almost forcing the Big Ten and SEC's hand to do, which Big Ten ain't going to say jack. Because he ain't got the balls to speak.
The SEC already said that's BS.
But the SEC, yeah, he did, but
no, he really did. Like,
yeah, but Greg Sankey, but I read an article that said Greg Sankey in a room. I don't remember where I read it at, but in the room, I think Greg Sankey personally likes the 5-11 model.
No, I'm not talking about 5-11. I'm talking about, I'm not here for the love of the game, for the betterment of the game.
Right.
I'm here for the SEC. That's the exact opposite of what Brett Yormark said.
Right. You're right. I agree with you. Brett Yormark said he's doing it for the betterment of college football.
Can you describe to me what that is? What's the betterment of college football?
Equal and fair access, winning it, showing it, proving it on the field.
Okay, and that's
the American way. It's the heart of sports.
Is the playing field flat right now?
It
Not
never
in
will
3
be.
years. No. I'm asking you right today.
No.
Is the playing field fair?
No.
Okay. In 4 years, if the ACC and Big 12 only average one team, 1.5 teams a year, is that a win? Will that help us with prestige?
Will
that help us with perception?
No, but you've got to bank on they're betting on themselves to do better than that, to get to that 2.5 a year they've been averaging over the last decade.
You go ahead.
Kuz, so just listening to you, so you're saying 3 things. There's 3 things that you're saying the argument for the 5-11. Number one's perception. You don't want to be viewed as half, because you do half the bids, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. Number 2, Big Ten in particular would get additional play-in games because of those guaranteed spots to generate even more, double up your revenue for those playing games, benefiting them even more. This argument too.
And tied into that is the Big Ten SEC deal too. But yeah, that all is tied in together. Yeah.
And then last, like that game of kind of chicken leverage of saying it's for the good of the game from the ACC and Big 12 standpoint, to put more pressure, maybe political pressure on Big Ten and SEC. Those are the 3 reasons.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. I think those are compelling. And like maybe from our standpoint, maybe we're seeing this too selfishly. Like I see most often that the Big 12 probably gets one team in. Maybe there's a year where they can compete for 3 spots. But just selfishly from the Utah standpoint, having 2 automatic guaranteed spots gives Utah twice as better chance basically to get in the playoff.
I actually don't disagree with your points on that. I just don't think you can. There's going to be a lot of years the Big 12 only gets one team because of the parity in the conference. I agree.
Well, I think it's also the perception in the country.
Correct. That too.
It's not just parity. It's who's voting for those spots.
BYU.
Let me interrupt. Also, you said 2 things. The play-in game for the Big Ten. This has nothing to do with the Big Ten. I'm only talking about the betterment of the Big 12. You can have 2 play-in games, just like the Big Ten can.
Okay.
They can have 2 play-in games. 1 versus 4 gets 1 slot. 2 versus 3 gets the 2nd slot. You're guaranteed, and you can change the conference championship game from 1 to 2. So that's not a natural advantage either. And then at the end of the day, if the conference has people looking at it from the outside and you're only getting 1 team in, BYU was 17 last year, and they were the 2nd team.
I know that.
So last year we would have been 1 team. Next year, we could be one team. And because of the parity, I think parity is actually your counter argument. If you don't like any of the other things I've said, the parity in the Big 12 will eat itself alive. And getting that second team, I don't care what your perception is, I don't care any of that stuff. In my opinion, it's better to guarantee access, and I don't care about the codification stuff. So those are the things that I would say back directly that you could absolutely implement, and that's how you change perception. You get to the playoff and win games, not win games during the season.
Right.
Okay, and that's fair. And one more piece that I have not heard anybody mention yet that I actually thought of today while I was in my car for 6
I need
hours.
it because the other ones we've talked about before.
and I don't like this, and
Right.
I don't, and I'm not saying this is true, but there could potentially be a political piece to this from by Brett Yormark in the league. Guess who the new chair of the CFP committee is?
Who?
Mac Rhodes.
Okay. All right.
If you're Brett Yormark, do you want it to appear like you're taking any subtle shots at all at the CFP selection committee where one of your guys is the chair of?
But see, I think again, how is that a good thing? You should
I didn't
be
say
able
that's
to be
why
critical.
I prefaced the statement by saying
Yeah.
this is not necessarily
Yeah, I don't think that helps.
but
at
when
all.
you're in the positions like those guys are in, those kind of things matter. You can't just
Let me ask you this.
relationships, politics, all that stuff matters.
You're exactly right. It is a people industry, and those things matter. The public perception and the PR battle, though, is on different footing than I think in the Big 12. We're in a circle, and everybody just keeps saying the same thing over and over and over again. Out in the world, global view, the Big 12 is. I don't care what anybody wants to talk about, whether they appear to be on the same level. They're not on the same level.
I agree with you.
From a concrete
100%.
level, they're
I agree
not.
with you.
And can you, in a future, tell me, how does the Big 12 get back to being on the same level?
Only way you can do that is win
Championships, right?
And it's hard to do that when it's not a level playing field.
And it's hard to do it when you only have one team.
Yeah, I don't disagree with.
We want to do a
most of the
private
things you guys are-
capital deal, right, Coos?
Yeah.
We want to do a private capital. to help.
exactly.
That's a
we
whole
got
different
to.
thing we haven't gotten into
Yeah.
tonight.
Let me end by saying, because I know Jason wants to come.
Yeah,
on
I
too,
wanted
and
to get Jason on too.
Let me end by saying this. I actually do agree with you guys that the 4-4-2-2-1 model long term is probably better for the Big 12. Okay, I do agree with that statement.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's the right thing to. I just don't think you can vote for that and lay your head on a pillow at night.
Okay.
Because it's not.
That's fair.
It sucks the heart out of what sports is supposed to be.
I guess none of us disagree with that.
I guess
right
I'm
there.
a traditionalist when it comes to competing in sports. It's about getting your best teams out there. It's about deciding it on the field and not picking winners based on what league you play in.
No doubt.
Period.
We support that. 100%.
That is the number one reason I like the model. I'm looking outside of my Big 12 bias, outside of my fandom. From a pure sports perspective, I cannot sit here and tell you that 5-11 is the wrong way to go, because that's really the only model outside of a straight 1-16 deal, which I would definitely hate. You got to at least get in conference championships. Conference champions need to get in because you deserve to get rewarded for winning your league.
Right.
But your conference champion could be the 12 seed or the 16 seed, right?
Yeah. Here's the one thing that might make me change my mind about thinking the 5-11 is better. Okay. Or the best way to go.
Okay.
If Greg Sankey is able to achieve his goal of getting strength of schedule of one of the most important criteria, then we're screwed.
Yes.
If he achieves that, because in uneven conferences, when everybody doesn't play everybody, conference, I'm not saying strength of schedule shouldn't be a metric at all, but it should be weighted. It shouldn't be weighted super heavy, right? And he wants it to be, he's pushing this agenda like strength of schedule, strength of schedule, strength of schedule.
Right.
That won't be good for anybody but the SEC, in my opinion, because I don't even think that Big Ten, they have juggernauts at the top. But once you get past Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, and Michigan, they're just they're just like the ACC and the Big 12 at that point.
Well, and we're talking about the negotiation for 2026. I think it's a little bit early. I don't know why they're not pushing it to next year, especially for the Big Ten. Because if this year the SEC gets 6 teams in, and the Big Ten gets 3, now all of a sudden That can change the dynamics. And at that point, if they negotiate it out now,
Yeah.
the Big Ten might get screwed too.
Yeah. And one more thing, and I'll shut up.
Yeah, Jason. By the way, I sent you an invite, Jason. Check your
well,
DMs.
I'll shut up after this.
That's
but
okay.
I think there's also potential legal ramifications here. The power conferences could be at risk of getting sued here if they try to push this 4-4-2-2-1 model through.
Why? For what
Collusion.
reason?
Collusion.
Not if they agree to it. It's not collusion. Not if all four
the G6s or other the G6s.
The G6 doesn't have any voting. It's an LLC, so it's a company. It's not a
agreed,
it's not a
but
state
they have to give the other.
They don't really.
Yeah, they do. You're not letting me finish my sentence, Bomber, before you're cutting me off.
Okay.
They have to let everyone else have fair input. If you read that article by Ross Dellinger the other day, there are some people in the room who don't feel like the SEC and Big Ten are giving everyone fair input. They're not taking people's opinions seriously. So, and if you're the Big 12, you don't want to be included in that on that side of the argument, right? You don't want to be like, hey, because the G6s is already mad at Power 4 anyway for threatening to pull away. So do you really want to be? And again, that's probably not that's a very minute concern to me, but it is something I think they could be. Brett Yormark's choosing his words carefully here. I don't think he's saying this stuff in a vacuum. He has a reason for saying what he's saying.
I think you're right. That's true.
Who knows what he actually thinks behind the scenes and inside of his brain.
Really compelling points. Yeah, I think that the most compelling of all is like leveraging the statement, like this is best for the game. We know how much it upset Greg Sankey when those messages came out, but you're getting to more of like the battle for preventing a P2 breakaway, right? That's kind of what you're hinting at.
Yeah.
If that's the play, if that's the public play, then that's genius. Even if like you did maybe privately support a 4-4-2-2 model, just saying that, communicating that for public pressure would be absolutely brilliant. So I think that's a really great point, Coos. You mentioned that. Maybe that is the play.
I hope so. But anyway.
Okay.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
You appreciate it, Justin.
I was dying to get that off my chest.
We needed the counterpoint.
I was even willing to pay you to do it. So that's
no. I'm sorry it took that.
You guys deserve it anyway. It's all right.
We'll see you later. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coos.
All right, let's clap him out. Let's give him a sounder there, Moen.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
Excellent. West Virginia Mountaineer, Coos Corner, and check him out both on Twitter and on YouTube. Okay, now we're going to bring on the man, the mystery, the representative of the SEC, the Oklahoma Sooner. That would be Jason Watkins. How we doing, Jason? I got to put you on a short. We're like 5.
I only got a couple minutes myself.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm just going to say,
what's the SEC perspective here, Jason?
I'm not coming from an SEC perspective. I'm coming from a perspective of reality here. I mean, it's just a reality situation. I'm just going to tell you that I agree wholeheartedly with what you and Bomber have said, and Moen too, because we can sit here and act like, it's the right thing to do. It's the way it should be. Yeah, it's the way it should be. If everything is equal, then fine. 5-11 is great. The bottom line is you're going to get one team in more times than you're not. Which means that you have a 1 in 16 chance of winning it. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
What are we talking about? And on top of that, you're going. This is like Brett Yormark. I said it in the comments a second ago. This is Brett Yormark just said, let's cut off a leg and get in an ass kicking contest. I mean, come on, man. There's no way that you can really believe that this is going to help you. And as far as you don't have antitrust protection, all this stuff, if you wanted to fight this, and I've been saying this a lot lately, and I wish people would pay attention. If you wanted to fight, you should have put up a damn fight last year when they got all the damn money.
Exactly right. That was the time to fight.
There were like rumblings of a breakaway last year. Like there's pretty good leverage on Brett Yormark and Phillips from the SEC and Big Ten.
Look, I mean, at the time, you gave up all your bargaining chips, and now you want to bitch about it? Come on, guys. And I'm telling you, I've written the column. You guys can go look at it all you want to. I said it. Just because you can doesn't mean you should when it comes to the SEC and the Big Ten. Just
Post the
because
link.
you can't cut off 3/4 of the country doesn't mean you should. Because I don't believe you should. I think you cannot do it.
Post a link to your article in the comment section. Make sure you do that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll put.
You when you come on and you agree with us, it doesn't give us so much that we can really.
I know you wanted.
jazz
I know
about.
everybody wanted to shoot me full of arrows and everything.
Not us. Not us. You know, we're featured on YouTube right now, and people are watching us and going, "Who are these lunatics that don't agree with everything the Big 12 wants to do?" At the end of the day, I grew up in a world where the Pac-12 was beast, right? And you know, the biggest brands play the biggest games, and not having access at all. BYU fan here, and I think maybe there's more default to BYU fans because we've lived this life. Not having access is way worse than my perception of you.
Look, I'm happy that everybody is all willing. You know, all these Big 12 fans are so willing to put their lives. You know, we can't codify it like what Cruz said. We can't codify it. Can't codify that we're half the.
It's already done,
dude. You are half the conference. I'm sorry to say it, but you are half the conference. It has nothing to do with the. I mean, and guess what? I know. I'm just saying when the rev share actually does start.
Yeah.
First off, the Deloitte stuff is not gonna fly.
The Deloitte stuff is gonna fly.
I lean your direction there, Jason. I don't know, Moen, what do you think about Deloitte?
The first time that they say that NIL deal isn't good, it goes to court.
That's right. That's exactly.
It's already going to go to court. Yeah. How long can you get it stuck through though? Before
it's
change.
I agree with Jason.
I'll tell you what. The second a player says to hell with this, and they do decide that, you know what, we're done with this. You're going to not give us the money when you've been screwing it for decades, and you're not going to give us the money that we deserve. Bye.
Yeah.
And all that. How long would a walkout last? About 10 minutes.
Moen, really quick, what are you on Deloitte?
Listen, I said it earlier. If House comes to pass, they say they're going to have it up and running in 3 days. I want to see that. That would be shocking to me, but athletic departments are going to have to cut money. I mean, look, that rev share means that's less money that goes into your athletic department, and you're going to have to make that up.
How many schools in the Big 12 are going to go 20.5 million, guys?
No, not many.
16. How many? Tell me out of 16, how many?
One.
I can count
Texas
2.
Tech.
When BYU,
I don't know if BYU's going to do it.
They are.
They can't come in at that point.
No, they have. BYU's already said they are. So
they'll hit it. They'll hit at least half of those. Will do that, and probably more.
But not 100%. That's the point. Who cares if it's less than 16? You want to talk about perception? Your conference can't even really do full red share.
Well,
How does that look to the world compared to the college football playoff and all this other stuff that people are worried about codification? If your entire conference can't go 20.5 million, that's going to carry a bigger headline than any of the other stuff you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your nails.
You're poor. Wake Forest, are they going to do theirs? The ACC is the exact same way. Any school that doesn't go a full rev share, whatever that number is, somebody at the Washington Post is going to write an article. Hey, everybody, look at these poor, dirt poor conferences, bunk conferences that can't all fund 20.5 million. That the schools that do 25.5 have committed to compete for a playoff every year. Everybody else, not so much. Iowa State, boy, I don't know.
No,
I don't know. I think they'll find a way. I think that a lot of the programs, but I don't think that you'd get all of them. Whoa, relax there, Norman.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
I know Texas Tech would do the max rev share, but I highly doubt that most programs would. I'm thinking like only a handful would actually go up to the top rev share. Utah's reportedly going to 15.
Yeah. And
Utah, Houston ain't going to do that, guys. Colorado ain't going to do that. Arizona, they're broke. Arizona State, no. It's going to be Texas Tech and maybe BYU if you can get it. But
Baylor, I think, does. Schools. I think TCU. The 3 private schools all have no debt or marginal debt. So it's much easier for them to go to the full rev share. Arizona State was subsidized last year for $51.7 million just to get out of the red. for their athletic.
All the Pac-12 schools that came over.
Brutal.
And losing money.
Brutal.
Now, before rev share. So,
yeah.
And that's what I said, guys, you got to generate revenue somewhere else.
That's right.
Where are we generating revenue? You've already got TV deals through 2029, 2030.
Well, obviously you can't play for more money. I didn't realize the money thing with the playoff.
Well,
I thought
and that's what I mean. You have to create more games or create new revenue or bring in private equity.
That's where the 1-4, 3-2, 2-3 plays for play-in games for the Big 12. Give them 2 automatic bids.
The best, you're right. The best thing the Big 12 can do is win a national championship.
Yeah, no doubt. Unless you do that, you're screwed. And listen, I'd rather have 2 chances at it than 1.
Yeah.
Jason, we're 100% aligned on this. Like, what do you think about Koo's standpoint?
I mean, it's just not. What are we even talking about here? You've got every bit of your chances are based on what you guys were talking about it right there. Just think about the fact that look. The SEC and Big Ten own the biggest. They're part of the Fox and ESPN. Who the hell's gonna get the freaking benefit of the doubt in a 5-11? Who's gonna get the benefit of the doubt? Fox and ESPN's guys, or
I would have a different opinion. I fully say this in all transparency, that if BYU would have gotten in last year at 12 because they beat SMU and SMU didn't, I might feel different today, right?
Sure.
But that didn't happen. It didn't happen. They didn't make the playoff. Goes to 16, adding 3 more teams. Who gets those slots? South Carolina, Alabama, and Ole Miss. So what are we talking? Literally, what are we talking about here?
They both of those teams that shouldn't have probably gotten in.
Miami was the other one, but they didn't play.
Miami could have gotten in, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and SMU, I mean, you're gonna tell me that SMU deserted? The best teams they played beat them.
Yeah, that's true.
Indiana didn't even play a team that Indiana didn't
have to play Miami either.
Bowl eligible. Indiana didn't beat a team that was bowl eligible.
Are you serious? Really?
Yeah, the Big Ten, I'm telling you, the 3 teams thing I think is real. I really do.
You got to have, I mean, look,
and I'm 12 teams.
I agree with you that 1 year doesn't make a trend, but I'm telling you, it's trending in the wrong direction, Coos. It's trending in the wrong direction for the Big 12.
Jason, what do you think about perception? Coos was making that argument that you'd be perceived as half, right? If you get 2 automatic bids in versus 4.
It's about reality. It is half.
Let's get to a super chat. We got 4 of them, actually. I got to cruise through them. Jason, just stay there. You're not hurting my feelings. $20 super chat, MBM, power broker, member of the College Football Mafia family for Oklahoma State. I was trying to say that, and I can't. Only the rich kids from the rich schools should get to play sports. Just my opinion. If you don't like it, stop being poor. Ute, he's talking to you. Stop being poor.
I mean, we're talking about $15 million to
can't pay their own bills.
He's going to like this one.
That's not. You want to piss Ute off? Play the BYU fights now.
I don't have the BYU fights on.
It's easy to find. Google it.
Oklahoma State. He donated $20, so he gets to hear the Oklahoma State fight song.
Go! Let's go. Let's get through these.
That's what it was.
Let it rain.
Oh, okay. All right. Sergeant Pickles checking in. Good to see you, Pickles. $2 super chat. Super contributor of the College Football Mafia family. Also a member. Evening all sunny and 75 in the Pacific Northwest. That go Dogs. Boy, that's
dogs.
That's balmy.
That is brilliant weather in Seattle. Ryan Willie has 2 super chats. I'll get right back to him. I'll get to him and then we'll move on. Nathan and Ute, the SEC will stab the Big 12 and the Big 10 in the back. The first chance Sankey gets. Yeah, I believe that. I believe that.
Where's the
I wouldn't trust the SEC.
Where's the music of the Empire? Dun, dun,
dun.
Right. Where is the dance of the Empire?
We need the dance of the Empire. We need that.
Well, let's just do a little on Wisconsin.
There you go. Ryan Willie has the second super
Fits
chat.
for every high school team. Why not?
$2 super chat. Ryan's also a valuable member of the College Football Mafia family. OG at this point. The 511 could mean 12 SEC teams in the CFP. I'm telling you right now. Anybody who thinks 511 is just earn it, boy, be plucky, go out and mow your lawn, and then you go earn your place wherever you're going, I just think is naive. I said it on Twitter, and I'm not going to pull it back.
Yep.
I think it's absolutely naive.
Conan would say.
Everybody can yell at me, by the way. I'm okay with that.
Before you, and they hear the lamentation of the women.
Wait, play that again, Moan.
There's so much stuff we haven't covered tonight. Let's see if
Crush your
there's anything.
enemies. See them driven before you, and they hear the lamentation of the women.
The lamentation of your women. What the hell does that even mean?
From Conan the Barbarian. Fantastic.
All right, that's really quick. Before Jason goes, one more question for you, Jason. Brett Yormark came out, put out a press release from the Big 12 saying they've paused the private equity conversation, right? They've said we've already, well, he didn't have to say it. Everybody knows they've already done the work with several private equity organizations. But right now, those conversations have largely stopped. What do you think about private equity in college football or sports in general, college sports?
Well, I mean, I think that there's you see arguments for both sides of it. I've actually enjoyed the argument that you just made for the private equity. And if that's the case, that they only make money on what they actually bring to you as far as revenue is concerned, then I think that that's a good, I don't know what you're pausing, because you have if you go to the 511, you're already, like I said, cutting off a leg to go to the ass kicking contest. You better have some money with you to give the prosthetic. I don't
There's
really
no
know
downside, guys, to creating a new revenue source that's not there now and splitting with private equity.
Right. Now,
that structure, they're not asking for
hear,
ownership of your conference. Like, come on, get it done. The only thing that tells me is that you have disalignment in the Big 12. I don't know why, but that's the only thing that makes sense.
Because the narratives are out there. Here's why. Because you've got the narratives out there that you lost, Red Lobster or whatever these places where they took on private equity, and next thing you know, they took back everything.
They did.
Yeah,
they did.
So,
all right, Jason, I'm going to let you go.
If it's not about that, then I don't know. I appreciate it, man, but I got to get to anyways. But I appreciate you guys having me on. I just wanted to come in and say hello. Great show, fellas.
I'm missing my engraved invitation. I haven't been on your show for a while, so I've been taking it personal.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm taking it personal. This is the first time I had to ask to come on and pay.
You and Goose, you think that was an accident now?
Thank you, Jason.
Oh, shit. I've been a member for 15 months, and I had to pay more.
Thank you, Jason. It's great to see you.
See you, Jason.
You have something for Oklahoma?
Hey,
I don't have anything.
Cook,
I don't have anything Oklahoma. Let me let him cook on here.
Yeah, we can do
I got one.
Oh, Jason's got one. All right.
Oh, it's the Boomer Sooner.
See you later, Jason. Bye-bye.
That's pretty baller, actually.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Oh, go ahead, Moan.
Nitwit with a $10 super chat. Penn State, I've got a Cougar. That I do have.
Yes, sir.
Exactly why the big brands in the Big 12 and the ACC will merge into a new conference by 2029, Bomber. We haven't even got to that point yet.
Let's
Guys,
go.
I'm just going to tell you right now, I've spent about 3.5 to 4 hours total trying to figure this out. Coming up with who those teams are and what the deal is. I have punched it through multiple AI systems.
Here we go.
I have come up with multiple things. Greg and I have been texting back and forth multiple times today on what the makeup of this possibly would be.
So you're talking about let's reset the deck. Always got to reset so
okay.
everybody has context. Yeah. Last week there was a meeting between we don't know who Big 12 and we don't know who ACC about getting together and potentially forming a new conference. Okay, now.
That's absolutely right. It was considered, as it was written, a clandestine meeting that did not contain the commissioners from both the ACC and Big 12, and it didn't contain all the teams from the ACC and the Big 12. So And that got leaked out to Ross Dellinger. And you got to ask yourself who would leak something like that. Florida State.
Yes.
Yes. But will this happen? I don't know. Is Smash Capital involved? Are they coming up with the money for all these buyouts to create this new conference? And are they going to get a new media deal for? I don't know. But let me ask you a question, guys. Put together your best 16 teams between the Big 12 and the ACC. Good luck.
I would 3 selections possible.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Right, so like 16 in the Big 12, 17 in the. I guess throw out Notre Dame; they're relevant. So really, you're looking at 32. I think.
No. Hold on. Let me specify this. You get to pick 8 from the Big 12 and 8 from the ACC to create a new 16-team conference.
I think that would be pretty not difficult to do.
Okay.
Just look at TV ratings.
There's no reason to call anybody out about it.
No, but it is difficult to do. Trust me. I've sat down and tried to do it. And you always can make an argument for 2 to 3 other teams that you have to leave behind.
Well, it's a club.
And that's the thing.
It's a club.
Who's in, who's out?
Well, instead of talking about who was at the meeting, let's talk who didn't get an invite. How do you think they were scrambling the minute that was posted? The schools that weren't invited to that meeting are absolutely losing their minds, scrambling.
Well, you saw Yormark too. Yormark came out, I think, the day after that report.
And said what? I didn't see that.
Said that he had met with all his ADs and.
It's the Big 12 meeting.
Everybody was on board with everything.
Right.
So the fact that he even had to come out and say that should just be a given that all your ADs are on board with the commissioner. But and this is the second meeting. Between this group.
Yeah. I want to say this really quick. Coos may be, and I said this top of the show, Coos may be 100% right. For all my passion, for all detailed Ute may be, Coos might be 100%. He might be proven accurate. And in 6 years, the Big 12 will have won this. It would be a coup, a PR coup, and it restored or dragged up the Big 12 to now be a peer, or at least pretty close to the Big 10 and the SEC, which right now they're not. And that is a possibility. I leave that open, and I've said it on Twitter as well. I might be 100% wrong, but I am not wrong.
I might be 100% wrong, but I'm not wrong.
But I'm just 99.9999.
Ryan Willie is a member for 16 months. Ryan in the house.
16 months. Give him some badger noises.
Oh boy,
that's a pissed off badger right there.
Oh boy,
that's the best sounder you've got.
442213 is better than 511. We will qualify that by saying Ryan represents the Big 10. Want to make sure that we give everybody context. Becky Go Huskies has been a member and a contributor for more than a year, 15 months. Thank you so much, Becky, and thanks for your membership as well. 511 benefits Notre Dame. Nobody else. I already did that one, and I thought there was one more. I did. Antoine's. Okay, so I think I'm totally caught up. We did nitwits. So right now we are going to jump into belatedly Q&A. Okay. So everybody knows, if you're new to the channel, if you joined us, first of all, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you're here watching on YouTube, and y'all are, because nobody on X is running, please subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up. Let us know how we're doing. That stuff really matters to us, okay? And thank you for being here. There's over 100 people watching on a Friday evening. I think we've done something right. All right, so we're going to jump into what I call world famous Q&A for the College Football Mafia Network. And if anybody has any questions or comments, please leave them. We do defer to member comments. And tonight we don't have an overwhelming amount of member comments. Well, I guess maybe we do. I was just looking at the wrong window. We do have a lot of comments already flagged. So we defer to member comments. Feel free to continue to leave them. They're free. But if you want your comment to be read from here on out, from here to the end of the show, whenever that is, it will have to be a super chat. Okay. I'm going to grab
kudos
this.
to our community too, Nate, because
Yeah,
I'm
go
checking
ahead.
out over the. I've been out of the comments for a bit. Over 600 comments since I last jumped in. So you guys are on fire tonight. Seriously, let's just get some of these comments here. Love it.
The statement by Bomber, if being wrong is the same as my last two girlfriends told me. That's why I left. By the way, Go Black 45 is not only a valued member, OG member of the College Football Mafia family, but he also has one of the best names in all of social media. I'm just going to say that.
Absolutely.
Go Black 45 is kick ass, just so everybody knows. So I'm just going to start grabbing these rock and rant. Why so serious? Rock and Rant. I'm not even sure he's talking to. $2 super chat. Rock and Rant not only is a moderator, but he's a contributor. He also has a show with the Mighty Flow, Miami Flow. They have a channel called College Football Express. I want to push everybody their way on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and capture that show whenever you can. I'm not sure why so serious, what that means. It's out of context, obviously. So, by the way, you have access. If you want to join us, Rock, you can come on the show.
I just invited CFP Plus. So
no, what?
Yes,
all
I
right.
did.
Oh yeah.
Whatever you say, Moan. I'm okay with it. Two Master checking in. Two Master, it's great to have you around. We've missed you. I've missed you at least. Very personal. Crown Envy in this chat.
Our man, the myth, the legend.
Crown Envy. Joe Z says it's Friday. We're hammered and typing away on our phone.
Hey, Georgia Tech to you, Jose.
And I'm going to say this peach whiskey with cherry Coke Zero, it ain't bad.
Is it not?
It's not bad.
All right, College Football Plus, who a long time ago helped us with our logos and did some other work. We really appreciate all that work. It was 2 years ago now. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Give me a second. My headphones are not connecting. They're acting funny.
Sure, go ahead. We'll keep reading comments. Let's see. MH Ortho 12. Would Miami still want to be big over this? Big Ten over
gosh,
this?
yes.
That's not even a question. Yeah.
Everyone's trying to get in the Power 2.
Yeah.
Even that's the problem with like a breakaway Power 3 league is any school would still jump in any moment to the Power 2 because of the payouts.
And
There's a question earlier. Go ahead, Moon.
And that's my fear. I mean, listen, you guys accept the 511, and then the Big Ten raids the ACC and grabs Miami and Notre Dame.
Yeah, and you're screwed for 6 years.
And the SEC grabs Clemson and Florida State. Yeah. And now pretty much every big brand is in the Big Ten or the SEC.
Stop it. Stop it.
You're going to get one team in every year.
Are you back? CFB? Not yet.
He's still.
Koo's Corner says I could also be 100% wrong. Hey, if you're not following Koo's on Twitter and you're certainly not watching him on YouTube, you don't know what you're doing. Fantastic channel. Get over there, subscribe, and go to him. Tempest says Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Iowa State, TCU, ASU. Yeah, I see some teams that would be left out from the Big 12. Meaning in that meeting, I know of 8 that I think you just could take for granted would be in that meeting. So I'm not sure why it's difficult for you, Moen.
Trust me, it's difficult when you look at it and say, okay, I'm going to go take 8 Big 12 teams. You're losing somebody on 9 and 10 and 11.
Well, of course you are. Yeah, that's true.
That you can make an argument for.
Okay. CFB Plus, you're back. Still having headphones issues. All right. Conundrum says, which schools want private equity?
Houston wanted,
and
I think
Utah?
Baylor wanted private equity. I think that yeah.
Listen,
how many?
When Yormark said he put a pause on private equity, it means Yormark didn't have the votes for private equity.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, or he didn't. There's no purpose for it. Realignment's dead, is what I read that as. Yeah. I read that as.
You think realignment's dead because of that?
I mean, if realignment's on pause. That's what I mean.
I mean, like, if you would sign over a private equity deal, that would have paused realignment because you had been contractually obligated to private equity.
No, what we're saying is realignment. Realignment has to be the first step before you get to private equity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You and I are on the same page.
All right, you ready, CFB Plus?
Still not. Okay, Dave's here. Dave's here's a more recent member. We appreciate you being here. Dave's here. Thank you so much for being a member of the College Football Mafia family. And some models, Nebraska and Penn State, almost include Nebraska. I almost include Nebraska. Sorry, I forgot the I.
Hello.
Oh, we can hear you.
Oh, there he is.
So apparently my headphones just won't work, but that's okay.
All right. Please.
If you all, okay. So.
Uh-oh, we lost him again. You there? I think he's trying to go hands-free and it's not working. All right, Steele Austin. Why not? The Big 12 ACC aren't fooling anyone but themselves with that type of thinking. Everyone knows they aren't on the same level as the P2. Yeah, I don't have a problem saying that. Hey, you've got your radio on there, CFB.
Am I back? Okay, sorry. I don't know why this is being a total nightmare. I apologize.
Are you talking on your phone?
I am on my phone.
Then you'll have to disconnect your YouTube more than likely.
Okay. Anyways, I was on my computer with my
YouTube. Okay.
But essentially, so with the utmost respect, I just emphatically disagree with the 4-4-2-2 model if you're the Big 12.
Okay.
Primarily because, like, yes, I agree. Most years you're probably only getting one, maybe two teams in, but also I don't think you can say that's going to be the case going forward, because a lot changes over the course of time. Like the Pac-12, like if you were to look at the Pac-12, like, obviously prior to it falling apart, but if you were to look at it between 2014 and 2023. Quite frankly, they underperformed consistently. They were more often than not the team that didn't get a member institution in the 14 playoff. But that last year, that 2023 year, if there was a 12-team playoff, they could have gotten probably 4 teams in the playoff. And the Pac-12.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said Big 12. I'm like, whoa,
no. I'm using the Pac-12 as an example here.
Okay.
Because for 10 years, they were lackluster. They were subpar. But that 2023 year, they were probably the best conference in America, just with the talent and the depth. And so, if you're the Big 12, you cannot afford to, in my opinion, sacrifice that potential, even though it's a gamble, absolutely, but you have, I think, more to gain and less to lose from it. Because if you go with the 4-4-2-2, you are essentially codifying that you are inferior to the Big Ten and SEC, and you will never get that back, no matter how hard you try. And with the 5+11, you still, on paper, in technicality, on the same playing field. And a huge part of this is media perception, because that, I think, is kind of overlooked, because the media, if you really think about it, runs the sport. The media is what determines the rankings. The media is what determines strength of schedule. And so it's the real battle, I think, should be winning over the media and gaining the media's respect. Because the SEC has done that, the Big Ten has done that, the Big 12 has not done that. And if the Big 12 can do that, and if you have a 5+11 model, it allows you the opportunity to get more than just one team in, more than 2 teams in, maybe 3 teams in. And that's obviously that's not a guarantee. That's an uphill battle, but it allows you the opportunity to do that. Now, if you go to a 4-4-2-2, it doesn't matter. Even if you gain like the media perception and bonus, there is nothing, not nothing, but it's going to be, you can't break out of that. Even though there's the 3 automatic qualifiers, it's going to be so hard to overcome that hurdle because you're already looked differently from the media lens.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Who cares? It's already done.
What do you mean, who cares?
No,
What do you mean?
who cares? The codification has already happened. The perception is, and it's baked in. And I cannot see. I don't know. Maybe you disagrees. I cannot project a future where that ever changes.
Well, just because you can't predict it, I don't think means it won't happen. I think
No,
we
I
don't
know.
know.
So how does it happen? Tell me what
Well,
it
you have
takes to
to.
get
Well,
there.
one, you have to win on the field, and two, like, let's be quite frank, you have to make money, because money is kind of what drives the league
Right.
in so many ways. It's eyeballs and viewerships. There's a reason why certain like news channels talk about like Texas all the
Yes.
time, not because Texas is good, but because they bring eyeballs and eyeballs bring money. And so
Yes.
you have to build that brand. And personally, I'm extremely bullish on the Big 12. I think there is a lot of untapped potential. And while I don't think they will equate to the same monetary level as the SEC or the Big 10, I do think that they have a potential to be valuable enough where they are worth people talking about them. They're worth being in the conversation. They're worth a seat at the table, which that then allows you to go win it on the field. Because the reality is, BYU should have been in the conversation ahead of Alabama, and the conversation should have been, should BYU be getting that last spot, or should
Or
SMU be getting that
SMU. That's
last
exactly
spot?
right. Yep.
That's the whole thing.
Yep.
And so the
But
battle
CFP
there
plus.
was the media perception and not the winning it on the field. So you kind of have to win it on the field, or you have to win the media battle so you can win it on the field. But if you don't have the opportunity to win on the field, it doesn't matter if you win the media battle, if that makes sense.
In my view, CFB plus, it's really about winning in the playoff. Winning in the regular season is kind of a moot point. You get playoff wins, people take you seriously. If you lose first round in the playoffs, people don't take you seriously, and you get more disrespected. Even if it's a close game like Arizona State, nobody cares at the end of the day. It's a loss. My thoughts here. Let me ask you this too, CFB plus. This is for you, okay? So I hear what you're saying about the Pac-12. So say that under the current structure, we've got 4 or 5 years where we're going to have a 16-team playoff, 5-11 model, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Say that, let's just say 5 years to make it easy. Okay, so what if the Big 12 got one playoff berth in 4 out of those 5 years, and then 1 year they got 3 playoff berths in because they had a huge year like the Pac did? Is that a true win right there? Is that something that you'd prefer over having 2 automatic spots every year? Because in my view, that's probably more of a realistic situation.
This is going to be a cop-out answer, but I think it depends, because like if you were to say next, so what, 26 is when a hypothetical 16-team playoff starts,
right?
And so if you were to say the first 4 years you only get 1, but then the 5th year you get 3, absolutely, I think it's worth it, because then you can take that and build upon that. And I agree that like winning playoffs matters perhaps the most in terms of perception. And I think a 5+11 gives you the opportunity not just to win it on the field, but to continue and capitalize on that. Because if you have let's say the 1 year we have 3 teams that they ball out and they win a bunch of games, then next year you can continue that momentum. But if you're in the 4-4-2-2 model, you're kind of locked into that. And so it doesn't give you the flexibility of potential growth and improvement. You're kind of locked in to that model. And the reality is, even though there's the 3 automatic qualifiers, the likelihood that Notre Dame is one of those schools is really high. So the reality is, you're dealing with 4-4-2-2-2-1-1-2, with Notre Dame being one of those.
Right. That's true.
So you need, in my opinion, the flexibility, because if you don't have the flexibility, then you can't market yourself the same way that the Big Ten or the SEC can. Like, I know even if you do the 4-4-2-2, the Big 12 could still do the whole play in game situation, kind of like this, but it's not the same. It's only half of what the Big Ten and the SEC can do. And
Wait a second. What does that mean? It's not the same.
because the Big Ten and the SEC, they have the 4, so there's more at stake for that.
Okay,
And
but I mean that's you go from 1 to 2, 2 to 4. I mean that's just the nature of the business. The reason why do they have 4? They have 4 because they're already perceived to be that. I think what kind of is, and I admit it's a little frustrating, is I keep hearing this echoed. Oh, it's like a parody at this point. Everybody keeps saying it's a perception. We don't want to be perceived. We don't want to codify all these words. Look, everybody, it's already happened. The voting to change anything was last year. Now they're just moving the deck chairs around on the Titanic. The Titanic has already hit the iceberg. So I don't understand what people are thinking we're going to get back. Let me ask you this: what's the reverse? What's the nightmare scenario? The Big 12 only gets one team in for 6 years straight. What do you think the perception of the league will be then?
Yeah, no, it won't be. It won't be good. But I think my point is
way worse than if you had 2 in and they just lost every year. Way worse.
Well, I mean, conversely, if you go with a 4-4-2 model, you have 2 Big 12 teams that get in, and they lose every year, and then the media is going to be talking about.
Nobody cares though.
But everyone's going to be talking about we shouldn't even give the Big 12 2 auto bids.
No, they won't be talking about that because that's already happened. If you're Brett McMurphy, you're not going to write a story. Oh, the Big 10 didn't win a game in the playoff. What you're going to write is they got 4 teams in the playoff. I just think we're talking about. The conversation has somehow gotten warped where people think that in some way, shape, or form they can change what was codified last year, and that is the control of everything is the Big Ten and the SEC. I don't care how you talk about it, what your perception is, what your merit. That's not going to change. At least nobody's been able to give me an example of how they can change the paradigm.
Wait, what are you talking about by how it was codified last year?
It was. They voted to give the control to the Big Ten and the SEC. They voted, right? They have 64 or 68% of the voting shares for the CFP for the next 6 years. That's what I mean by codifying. It's done. They're not going to give that money back.
Yeah, perhaps. Well, yes, no.
Perhaps?
No.
That's not that's black and white.
But that just because they have the authority to the thing is, really, they're having the authority over the next iteration of the playoff.
That's not the same thing.
Is.
No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about control of the playoff.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Because the playoff is undecided for the 26 on.
Right, they're still negotiating that, but the point is right now those 2 conferences have the lion's share of the voting interest. They could do whatever they wanted to.
Yes, but I don't know if that's really relevant because what we're discussing right now is the seeding, the playing.
I understand exactly what we're talking about now. Yeah,
no, but
I don't see how the Big 12 gets more than 1 team in. I'll just say it flat out. It's going to have to be an exceptional year for them to get 2 teams.
Yeah, it's a disagreement. So CFB plus, any last words and stuff? We're going to wrap up the show here in a few minutes.
No, you're good. I appreciate the disagreement. It's fun to talk about.
It is fun to talk about. I love this stuff. So
listen,
I
want to put this out here. I'm bullish on the Big 12 too. I am, but I think taking the 2 guaranteed slots gives the Big 12 a much better opportunity than the 5+11 model. Arizona State almost shocked the world last year as the Big 12 representative. They should have beat Texas. We could, was it targeting? Wasn't it target? You can make all these arguments. The idea that you can get 2 underdogs in and one of them can potentially go on that underdog run. One of them could come in at, say, a 15 seed and knock off a 2 seed. To me, I'm bullish on the Big 12 too. I'm bullish on the ACC as well. I'd like to see them guaranteed 2 win. And then, hey, if you're good enough, if your conference is good enough, you got quality teams, maybe you can get that 3rd at-large bid. It's totally possible. I just think going 5-11 and just saying, well, let's gamble on ourselves. I agree, let's gamble on ourselves, but hey, don't gamble with 7 deuce off suit, man. Wait until they deal you some pocket aces.
Hey, thanks for coming on, CFB Plus. It's great to see you. I appreciate the conversation.
Appreciate it, CFP Plus.
Thank you.
All right, see you later.
Take it easy.
I think that just shows you reasonable people can look at the same data and get completely different opinions. All right, this is dominated, doesn't surprise me, but we're dominated by the college football playoff tonight. We appreciate everybody that's participated in that. I don't think we're short any super chats, are we, Moen?
We got Rock and Rant says, why so serious?
I think I did that.
So serious.
Yeah,
we do that one, and then we have this one. Stop. So I'm sure tune in on Sunday night. Rock and Rant will probably have a lot to say about this.
Yeah.
Tune in Sunday night at 8 p.m. for Moen After Dark with me and Rock and Rant. And I will hear Rock and Rant's argument on this. I am a 4-4 guy. I'm bullish on the Big 12 and the ACC. I think it'd be a good idea for them to get 2 guaranteed slots.
I'm a 4-4-3-2 guy. That's the hill that I would like to die on. I hope that's where the leverage is to make that argument, because that's a huge win. I think everybody would agree with it, even the 5-11 folks. CFB Plus and Coos made great points tonight and stuff on perceptions and legitimate points. So everyone has a different thought process on it. It's great. Get everyone's perspective on this. Go ahead. Come
on. If we wouldn't have a show still running, if we weren't masters of debate and discussion, we readily admit most of the people watching these shows are smarter than we are, and that's why we do it. We care about your opinions. I really appreciate CFB Plus. I really appreciate Jason Watkins and Justin Coos from Coos Corner coming on. This is what we do around here. I know that we got 100 people watching, a bunch of new people watching us tonight. Make sure you subscribe before you leave. Give us a like, a thumbs up. Get in the comment section. Tell us how much you hate the fighting, and yet you watch 2 hours of it. Okay. That's what I love, is everybody complains, bitches and moans, and then our ratings go up when we have more disagreement. So I appreciate everybody for doing that. And here's one last super chat we've got from Jacobra Cat, $5 super chat. Let's give him a sounder, Moen.
Look, I came here for an argument. I'm not going to just... Oh, I'm sorry, but this is abuse.
Oh my gosh, these are funny. Jacobra Cat says they gave up so much control to the Big and the SEC. That happened last year. There will be a Big 12 ACC brand, ball gags, and fluffy handcuffs. That's a callback to a movie. I'm spacing it this second. Moen, what of the movie? Do you remember?
My high school prom.
No, it had John Travolta in it. No, it had John Travolta in it.
Okay.
It was, oh gosh, somebody in the comments tell me 1998 or something. John Travolta. It had, anyway, that's what it's from. Jacoby Hat, thank you so much for your super chat. I really, really appreciate it. And that will help us keep the lights on. There is no doubt about that. I think that's about it. We're going to leave that there. I appreciate everybody being here tonight. I hope you had a great week, a great weekend kickoff. Big Freaking Friday, Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. That would be Moen and the Mighty Rock and Rant will be on doing the Moen After Dark show.
Hold on.
What is
we've got a Tarleton ad that just came across that we found in the archives.
It's our sponsor.
Lord. It's our sponsor, Tarleton.
That is brutal.
Tarleton for Rock and Taste. Turn it up.
Oh, stop it. I don't want to get flagged for advertising tobacco, Moen. What are you doing? I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a safe and great weekend. And next week, look for my Twitter announcement. I will be doing a show with Steele from Wild Ute or Ute Nation. And we're going to, I don't know, we're talking about different ideas. I think the CFB format might be one he and I get into. But I appreciate everybody else for being on. You guys are awesome. And Vox Condaro says only good part of the show. So the rest of the stuff doesn't matter.
Hold on,
you in the nose doesn't matter. No, stop it. I said no. It's my show. Knock it off. I'll kick it off if you make me. Everybody have a great weekend. Stay out of trouble. And we will see you next time. Bye-bye. Peace.